Hey friends, Jave Danielle here, and welcome to another episode of Wait a second. This is not another episode. This is a new type of content that I'm putting out. This content is all about the behind the scenes of taking a bite out of history. Now, I already dropped an episode not too long ago on carrot cake. Here's me putting together the carrot cake in real time. If you like this kind of content, make sure that you like, subscribe, and share with all of your loved ones. That's what I meant to say. Now, most of this video will be ASMR because I really don't feel the need to speak through this entire video. Basically because what you see on the screen is actually what's happening. I'm making brown butter right now. Brown butter is one of the most quintessential ingredients to me. And by that, I mean that brown butter has the ability to enhance all of your bakes. Just trust me, it's an easy process. Also, get a scale whenever you are baking anything. I think that scales are so worth it and it helps you make accurate measurements. Back to the brown butter. This is a really good color for it. You don't want to go beyond this point. It'll be burnt. In this bowl, I already have the brown sugar, the brown butter. I think I also have the eggs in here as well. I'm just adding in a few of the dry ingredients. I rarely mix the baking soda and salt into the flour. I typically just dump it into the wet ingredients. I don't know. Maybe I'm not superstitious. Maybe I'm a little stitious, whatever. It tends to work out for me. So I'm adding that in here. And then I'm also adding in ground cinnamon. And I'm pretty sure you're going to see me adding in, oh, wait, it's coming. Oh, there they are. Nutmeg and ginger. Carrot cakes are nothing more than a spice cake with some carrots in it. So you got to have the spices. And those are some really great ones to add. I am mixing it all together. And now I'm adding in the flour. I have my scale up underneath this bowl so I can see exactly how much I am adding into the actual batter. This just makes it easier, and then I don't have to worry about leveling anything. I'm mixing this all together. As you can see, it doesn't look so pretty here, but it does smell good. It smells good, I promise. And now for the fun part. This is where you add in all your fixins. So, of course, carrot cake, carrots, those are freshly shredded. Never purchase shredded from the store. I've added in coconut and also chopped walnuts. Walnuts or pecans? Do I add walnuts? Oh, yes, walnuts into the cake. Sometimes I add in pineapple. You can do that as well. If you add in pineapple, make sure that you drain the pineapple so that you're not adding extra moisture into the cake. You don't want to do too much now, but it'll be really great for your flavor. Also, pineapples are very, very sweet, so you may have to adjust the sweetness of the cake in order to contend with the pineapples. Here I go, mixing it again. I shall never trust my eyeball to know how much cake batter I'm putting into a cake pan. Instead, I will use my trusty scale again. I think for this cake, I weighed out about 350 grams per cake pan, and I ended up using 4 6-inch cake pans. Now, today, could you use an 8-inch cake pan? You absolutely could. I would only use 2 of those for this recipe. Can I use a 9-inch cake pan? You can if you want. I typically don't do that, mostly because I like even numbers. So I went with the 6-inch cake pan because it's normally the size of the cakes that I like to eat, slice, and decorate in whatever order. So here I am just weighing it out. Also, here's how I set my pans up for success. I spray them with like cooking spray or Pam. If I don't have that, I will use oil. And then I cut a parchment round out of parchment paper, pop it in there, and it's ready. I never have any issues with cakes sticking due to this process. Now, if you don't use Pam or if you don't use oil, that's on you. I don't know if your cakes are going to come out exactly how they should. As I'm rewatching this video, there's literally nothing that can make this particular scene look good because carrot cake in its batter form looks gross to me. So I'm a wee bit grossed out. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie. I'm ready for this scene to be over with. And here they are. They are a little dark, only because I ended up leaving the house as soon as I put those in the oven because I was really craving a hot dog. Don't ask me why. But either way, we're here. So I did decide to level one of them because it was a wee bit crooked. But you do have to be mindful when you're leveling a carrot cake because they have nuts in them and they can get caught on the leveler and then they can rip apart your cake. So I'm just being extra careful here. If it wasn't this kind of cake, I would be going super fast during this part. And let me tell you, the best part of the cake are the cake scraps. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that, but it's quite delicious. This is what I have left, and now it's time for the icing. I'm starting off with a block of cream cheese, letting that whip. I love my cream cheese recipe. But I don't like frosting with cream cheese because it doesn't always give me the consistency that I like. I'm either going for consistency or I'm going for flavor with cream cheese. This time I went for the flavor, but I'll show you how I fix the consistency towards the end of this video. Now for cream cheese, I am adding in a full block. I'm adding in 2 sticks of butter. I was going for a vanilla bean cream cheese and then some salt, which I rarely measure using anything except for my hand. I like to see it go in. And then powdered sugar. I use a 1-to-2 ratio. For every 1 cup of butter, I will use 2 cups of sugar. For every 1 cup of butter, 2 cups of sugar. That keeps it from being overly sweet. And I know that I live in the United States, but I actually don't like sugar all that much, okay? Sometimes our icings are far too sweet. Here's a way to cut it down and it still be tasty for the people who are eating the cakes. So 1-to-2 ratio, 1 cup butter, 2 cups sugar. I'm sure you're going to ask me again, so I'll put it down in the description. And let me tell you, the best part of the cake are the cake scraps. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that, but it's quite delicious. This is what I have left, and now it's time for the icing. I'm starting off with Now, I have been using some of the same supplies since I first started decorating because look, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Always get you some parchment paper. This is mostly for the cleanup process. And then I kind of just fold it up and lay it out. And then from there, I'm going to use an offset spatula. I like that little small one for small cakes. Good dexterity, but I also have a bigger one, and that just kind of depends on the job that I'm doing and how much I'm trying to scrape. I think I'm going for the small one for this one. You can also see my cake scraper to the left. Now, to be quite honest with you, this is not my favorite cake scraper. It does a decent job, but it's just not my favorite. I had one that was like acrylic glass, and it was amazing, but I can't find it. I also used a cake board. Excuse how messy this thing is, but I've had it for maybe 7 years now. And again, it ain't broke, so I'm choosing not to fix it. And I just love it as it is. And now I'm starting to set up the actual cake decorating process. I start by adding like what I call glue to the cake board. This just helps to hold the cake steady as I'm applying the icing. You don't have to do this, but I highly recommend that you do it. There's a parchment paper that I'm peeling back. Those layers look so good. And here I am just adjusting the cake. I will say that cake is much easier to decorate when it's frozen, or at least it's been chilled for a while. This cake has not been, so these cake layers are a wee bit sticky, and I don't really care to do that, but it is what it is. There's that dollop. Oh my gosh, that looks so delicious. Now, in this moment, I'm deciding on whether or not to place the cake layer up or down. I did not level all of these cake layers only because they were already pretty tiny. And so when I don't level them, I will flip them upside down and then I will just add frosting to hide that they are not completely even. Trust me, it works out. Like just, we're doing a trust fall here. But I typically will decorate them this way. This also gives me a level surface to place the icing on top. Now, all of the layers have been set, and I told you before that cream cheese, the way I did it today was a little loose, and that would make decorating the rest of this cake pretty hard without it chilling first. So here's what I do when that happens. I will wrap the cake with a saran wrap, as I'm doing right now, and it seems to be taking a very long time. But I will wrap it entirely. I'll go a few times around with the saran wrap, and then I'm going to chuck it into the freezer and let it chill that way. And this will keep my cake from wobbling around. It will harden the cream cheese filling. That way, when I pull it back out to decorate the rest of it, I have a very stable cake. So if when you're doing a filling, like if it's a jelly, a jam, maybe just a runny Swiss meringue buttercream, you can still use it. Just make sure that you prep the cake for your next step, which is what I'm doing here. Now in this step, the cake is chilled, it's ready, it's not wobbly, and I'm just applying the top coat of the cake. And I mean, already it looks so scrumptious. I could really slice it from here because I don't need that much icing when I have a really good cake in front of me. But I did decide to go ahead and do a top coat, and that's it. Now, I'm sure you've noticed that this is a leaning tower of pizza. My cake is certainly crooked. Have no fear. In the final decorating stage, which I don't show you here, there are multiple ways that you can fix a leaning cake. Most of that is just with your icing or your icing technique. It's also with your cake decorations. If your cake is leaning to the left, then place the decorations on the right to balance it out. So if you're in the decorating stages and you see that your cake is leaning, like feel free to relax and calm down and just know that you can fix it later with your decoration. You can go heavy on the icing on one side. You can add fresh flowers. I mean, and if you're serving this to family, trust me, they do not care. They just want to slice into the cake. The only time I stress out about this is when I have to serve cakes to a client. That's when I get a lot more serious about cake leveling. The best way to circumvent these things, though, is to make sure that your cakes are entirely level as you are stacking them, and then you don't have to worry about this issue. But I did not do that here. You can also see how, as I am icing it, like it is starting to straighten up, and I already know I can fix this later on. So no big deal, no worries. Now, as a last step for this particular cake, I'm just taking my cake scraper and getting rid of any excess icing that I see on the cake. Now, if I were to fully decorate this cake, I would pop it into the fridge right after this and then apply another coat where the layers wouldn't be exposed. But for this cake, I was just making it for some quick content. So I'm not doing that here. And notice how, because I left the edges high, it's already starting to level the cake out itself. Remember, icing can really save you. here's my version of a carrot cake. I hope that you love it. The recipe will be down in the description box. Bye.